Years before Jeffrey Epstein's name became known worldwide, one woman says she tried to tell people what was happening. Her name is Maria Farmer, and according to her account, she didn't enter Epstein's world as a victim. She entered it as an employee, an artist, someone hired to work inside an environment that looked wealthy, cultured, and powerful. At first, she believed she had found an opportunity, but she later said it became something far darker. Farmer testified that she was brought into Epstein's orbit through social connections and professional work. She described environments filled with expensive art, influential guests, and constant movement of staff. From the outside, everything appeared sophisticated and controlled, but she said the atmosphere felt tense beneath the surface, like something unspoken was always present. One of the most disturbing parts of her story involves her younger sister, who she said was later brought into the same environment. Farmer claimed she began to feel alarmed, not just for herself, but for her family. According to her testimony, she sensed she was losing control over the situation. People around her held power she didn't understand, access she couldn't match, protection she couldn't challenge. She described feeling watched, not just physically, but socially, as if the network around Epstein extended beyond the walls of any one property. Drivers, staff, visitors, associates, a system where everyone seemed to know their role, and she did not. Farmer later said she attempted to report what had happened to law enforcement in the 1990s, long before Epstein's first arrest, but she felt her warnings were dismissed or lost within bureaucratic systems. Years passed. Nothing appeared to change. Meanwhile, she claimed the people she feared continued living openly, publicly, untouchably. One of the most haunting details she shared involved an incident where she said she felt in immediate danger. According to her account, she locked herself inside a room, terrified, unsure what would happen next. She later described it as a moment where survival instinct took over. Not planning, not strategy, just fear. Eventually, she said she managed to leave, but she also said the psychological impact stayed with her long after. What makes her story particularly chilling is the timeline. She says she tried to raise alarms years before the case exploded into public view. If her warnings had triggered action sooner, she has suggested, later victims might have been spared. That idea, the possibility of missed chances, continues to haunt discussions of the case. When Epstein was finally arrested decades later, Farmer's earlier claims resurfaced. Suddenly, her story wasn't an isolated allegation. It was part of a larger pattern, a piece of a puzzle that had taken years to assemble. For many observers, her testimony shifted the narrative from unexpected scandal to something far more troubling. A situation where warning signs may have existed long before intervention occurred, not hidden in remote places, not invisible, just unheard. Farmer has spoken publicly about the emotional cost of carrying that experience for so long. Fear, frustration, a sense of powerlessness, and the burden of wondering whether things could have been different. Her story forces a deeply uncomfortable question. How many people tried to speak, but weren't heard? Because sometimes the darkest part of a tragedy isn't just what happened. It's the possibility that it might have been stopped. Today, Maria Farmer's testimony remains one of the most unsettling pieces of the Epstein case. Not because it describes a single shocking event, but because it describes a warning. A moment when someone says they saw danger coming and no one acted. And that realization may be one of the most disturbing truths of all.